Hey everyone, welcome to the PFF Betting Podcast. I am your host, Kendall Valenzuela, joined with me as always, PFF data scientist Ben Brown. And today we are going through tonight's Monday Night Football matchup between the Miami Dolphins and New Orleans Saints. So let's get into it.
Football fans, I'm sure we all love an action-packed, high-scoring NFL game, but with the latest no-brainer from DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, you'll be a winner once a single point is scored. New customers who bet just $1 on any team to score can win $100 in free bets. It's just that simple. If Sportsbook isn't available in your state yet, you can still get in on the NFL action. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes all season long with DraftKings daily fantasy sports contests. DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code PFF. Bet $1 on any team to score and win $100 in free bets if they score. You score with promo code PFF this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older, New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit and $1 wager required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, Ben, it's a pair of 7-7 teams. They're kind of keeping their playoff hopes alive. But again, we're seeing a game where COVID has really impacted the Saints roster. So what are you seeing in this matchup before they kick off?
Yeah, definitely. So we have, Ian Book obviously starting. That's the latest news from the New Orleans Saints side. Probably their fourth string quarterback, I would say, when we started the season until now. So it's tough to project out what is really going to happen in this game. Obviously, we've seen the total drop quite a bit. We've seen, the line or spread basically move in the Dolphins' direction. They're now, field goal differential. I do think that seems to be just a little bit too low. I did get some, minus 2.5 for Miami. Did move up to 3, but it's tough to really project out any sort of offensive success for the Saints. But in saying that, some of their player props and those sorts of things are so suppressed and so low that it's really hard to kind of play, a bunch of unders here in this matchup as well. So not a great Monday night game, but I guess it's football here, so we got to take advantage of it while we still can. So.
It's football, I know. In the middle of March, we're going to be saying we wish we were watching the Saints depleted roster and the Dolphins. So, we'll get into it then, and we'll start with Tua Tagovailoa. You like his over 230.5 passing yards tonight, and he really he's been better, right, Ben? I mean, yep. He's been having not maybe a breakout season, but he's really gotten better. His 75.2 passing grade since week 6 is 10th among all QBs in PFF's rating system. So what do you see with his 230.5 that you like taking that over?
Yeah, definitely. So he has gone over, I think, 5 of his last 7 games that he has played basically since week 6. Has kind of been on a little bit of tear, right? I do think that overall their offense is kind of starting to find its rhythm a little bit. Obviously, Jalen Waddle definitely looks like a playmaker in this offense. Everyone else is kind of back and healthy. He will have Devontae Parker back. He will have, Mike Gesicki as well. So I don't really buy into the Saints defense necessarily being this outstanding unit. Of course, they have graded quite well here in 2021 so far, but I do think this is a spot where we could see the Dolphins be just a little bit more productive than what the betting market is currently pricing, and we have seen his number move up basically from 230 to 231.5. So definitely you can shop around a little bit, but I do think he's going to probably go over here. I do think the Dolphins are going to be somewhat aggressive, trying to take some early shots, and I do think that they are probably going to be a little bit successful doing that, more so than trying to pound the rock with Myles Gaskin and stuff like that. So I like Tua here tonight. I do think he's going to go over his passing yards props, and I do think maybe we see a little bit more points being scored than the 37-point total indicates. But yeah, it's interesting to project that out based on what the Saints are maybe going to be putting forth on the football field here. So.
Exactly right, because the Saints secondary ranks 8th in coverage grade this season, but you don't know what is going to be out there tonight. And when I kind of want to go back to the points too. What are you taking? I know you probably might not be touching the points, but what do you recommend when people are looking at the point spread?
Yeah, I mean, I do still lean towards the Dolphins. PFF Greenlight doesn't really have any value at -3
Okay.
anymore. I still think the Dolphins are the correct side, but I have kind of been probably lower in general on the Saints all season, and probably the last 2 seasons as well. So I do think they're probably a little bit overvalued by the betting market. I've kind of been opposite them, and
Okay.
I'm not really going to change that here tonight with Ian Book kind of starting for them at quarterback. I could see a situation where Alvin Kamara has a legendary type game where he scores a number of touchdowns and those
Mm-hmm.
sorts of things, and the Saints win pretty handily. But I just don't see any other path to the Saints really being all that productive offensively. So definitely lean in the Dolphins' direction. 37 points is
Okay.
just really low. So, PFS modeling is obviously going to lean in the other direction, just given some aggression factors with the market and, what we typically see. I think this is going to be like the lowest total game in a primetime game, probably even any game here in 2021. So it's just really tough to be on the under in that matchup. So I definitely lean over as well, but I'm not overly excited about taking that particular bet.
I was gonna say that's so fun getting
Right.
the lowest scoring primetime game. That's gonna be great. That's gonna be great.
It's
No,
fun
but let's
times.
move on then to Mark Ingram. You like his under 28.5 rushing yards. And in your article, that's on pff.com/betting, you said there's 3 reasons to fade Ingram, and it's lack of production, a lack of volume, and a tough matchup versus the Dolphins. So I want to kind of get into that with you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's basically it, right? Obviously, Alvin Kamara is going to be back. They did ride Mark Ingram heavily in his absence, but I just think it's a spot where he's not really going to be all that involved. I do think the Dolphins' run defense has been relatively poor. I want to say, basically. Sorry, I take that back. They have been relatively good recently. So like their pass rush that hasn't necessarily been all that great. But we have their run defense unit as the 6th best graded unit in the NFL so far when we fold in some of our opponent adjusted grade metrics. So if the Dolphins are gonna, or if the Saints are gonna have success against the Dolphins, I do think that the Dolphins are gonna force them to be beaten with Ian Book at quarterback, kind of throwing to some of these ulterior receivers, guys like Marcus Callaway and those sorts of things. So I don't think it's gonna be because Alvin Kamara is basically rushing for 200 yards and
Hmm.
Mark Ingram's kind of picking up the stead. So I do think they're gonna focus on stopping the run here quite a bit, given what they're facing off against at the quarterback position. And we'll see if Ian Book is actually able to maybe show some things here on Monday night. But I'm not too inclined to see that happening. So I think it's going to be tough sledding for the running backs. I do think they're going to see a number of stacked boxes, and I just don't think, especially Mark Ingram, that he's going to be all that successful here on Monday night.
I was going to ask then about Alvin Kamara, but you kind of just answered it. Are you watching any of his props tonight or not really?
I don't have any right now. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't mind. I haven't seen basically too much really come out for him. I guess we don't really have any
Hmm.
value on any of the props. I think 84.5 rushing and receiving yards. Maybe that's a little bit interesting. 24.5 receiving yards. I think that's got to be
Okay.
one of his lowest numbers of the 2021 season. That would maybe be a spot that I'm looking at. But yeah, I don't really love too much. I think he could easily be somewhat productive through the air and still struggle to probably go over his 55.5 rushing yards prop. So we'll see. I don't think it's going to be as much of like a timeshare committee based approach than what the market's kind of projecting right now. I do think we're going to see Kamara basically dominate the snap share. So we'll see how that kind of
Okay.
makes his player prop market kind of adjust here heading into week 17.
Anything else you're looking at? Do you have any other props you're kind of watching? Maybe a parlay, anything like that? It's tough because
Yeah,
we're
it is
trying to
tough.
film this the at the last minute that we can, and we still don't have a lot out there because of all the COVID news and stuff like that. But is there anything else you want people to watch for?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you're kind of a sicko and you want to grind out the over 37, I don't mind that. And then I do think, if the over 37 is going to happen, I do think both quarterbacks are going to go over their passing yards props. We already talked about Tua. Like I said a little bit earlier, I do think that it is going to have to be Ian Book kind of, out there slinging the rock a little bit,
Hmm.
getting into some of his receivers. If the Saints are going to be successful at all, we need the Saints to kind of be somewhat somewhat productive offensively to go over 37 points. So I do think, maybe folding all three of those, maybe that's a decent way to have like a small play on this game and not necessarily have to bet a bunch of individual player props and those sorts of things. Like that is probably the approach that I'm mainly going to be taking. I will have, some other player props mixed in, but I do think going over 37, Ian Book to go over 182.5 passing yards, Tua to go over 231.5 passing yards. It's a correlated option. I do think it could hit based on where PFF's betting model is sitting at and how we're projecting out this matchup. So we'll see. It doesn't feel great to be betting it right now, but we'll see if it actually pays off here on Monday night or not. So
we'll grind it out. We'll grind it out.
We'll always grind it out. That's what we're here for, to grind it out on the PFF betting podcast. So.
Yeah, well, thank you everyone so much for listening. We wish we had more to give you, but it's kind of a dirty game tonight. But we will be back. We'll talk bowl season and everything like that. Thank you for listening. As always, pff.com/betting, and good luck tonight, everyone.